All right, guys. So we thought we'd kind of cover some of the things that Kacia Fitzgerald at our Sparta Nation event. And by the way, I just want to really, really, really encourage you. And you're going to see a push for this particularly for the Indiana Market Council. You're going to see that, particularly the whole idea of pushing. And Jen, just so you know, everything moving forward is always going to be live streamed. So all of our events will always be live streamed, so you'll never be left out. Okay, for future, which I think is a great thing. It's not being there, but at least especially in your context, you really don't have much more other options really, because just not enough.
That's great.
Around. Yeah, so I think that'll really help you feel part of what we're doing, and then you can kind of see what's going on. So, and if you guys do want to retroactively, after I kind of talk through here, if you want to go back and get in that group, it's definitely might be worth getting in and for the ticket to be able to do that. Okay, but I would say all this, I wanted to tell Jen this too. Part of the main reason I wanted to get us to be part of Sparta Nation was the fact that I wanted you guys to be, and us guys, I guess particularly, but you guys, to rub shoulders with people besides us. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that I just want you to see that there are other people doing the business in either different ways or ways that might be helpful to you that then you can latch on to and go, because, truthfully, it's if you look at the way I do it or the way some of our teams do it, and it hasn't maybe necessarily resonated with you yet, it may not be the fact that it's the business. It's just the way that you can't run it like I do, right? In that so that's why I think if as much as we can sort of stock some of those people in Sparta Nation and finding who's doing what and who's successful, I think it might be really, really helpful. So there are a few names that I wanted to kind of throw to you before we actually get started in this, okay? And let me have you write these down. These are the diamonds that did the diamond panel. They're newer diamonds, probably within the last 6 months, I'd say. But they're kind of making some really cool progress in their businesses. Okay, so these are the people. Let me see if I can find it here. Okay, ready? It's Kristen with an I at the end, Kristin, Poske, Poske. Okay, that's one gal you're going to want to take a look at. She's cool. Liz, Emme, E-M-E. And I think that was the Nancy person that reminded me a lot of Nancy. And then there's Liz. It's Knoderer. So it's Liz, and then it's Knoderer. And then a gal who's kind of a real spitfire, kind of would remind me a little bit of you, Jen, maybe, I guess, a little bit. Megan Fogarty, Fogarty, Megan. Those were the diamond panel gals who spoke.
Sorry, my thing died, okay?
What happened?
Oh, sorry,
Nope.
Just me.
No worries. Okay, so I thought I'd throw those to you just to kind of start maybe stalk them, find them on Instagram, find them on Facebook. Might be helpful things for you to take a peek at. Okay, so that being said, let's take a look into this Kacia Fitzgerald. Now, Kacia, again, she's been a coach, I think, since about 2015, I think is what she said. She's been a couple years been doing this, and I think she's making some really good progress in her business. I think she's 7-star, I think, or something like that at this point. Okay, and her background was working for I believe it was like a kind of like an IT world kind of a thing, but she was like the only non-IT person within that IT world. Which was interesting. So she's a very like a presenter personality. She's a talker, and she was in the midst of all these really tech heads who didn't, I think necessarily didn't relate. So that's kind of what brought her into Beachbody, was like looking for something with a different kind of a person, different kind of community, and that's where she found it. If you guys know who Brigida Linford is, Claire, you would know that name probably, Brigida. She is her coach. So Kacia's coach is Brigida, but a very different style coach compared to what Brigida does. Okay, so we're going to bring this first slide up real fast. That was an ex-corporate hustler. She signed up as a discount. Yeah. So it was, started coaching in January 2000. Okay, so a year even before that, 2014. And then also moved on to Google, which is an interesting thing. She worked for Google. And then she does this as a 3-time elite team of about 2,500 coaches. That's a lot of people. 2,500. So she's, and she wasn't bragging. She's like, she's approaching the millionaire club this year. So she'll be, which means having made over $1 million with Beachbody. That's not like $1 million per year, but is about to hit the point where she's going to be making about $1 million, which is pretty freaking cool. And she's a grand total of, I think, 28 years old. So not too shabby. But anyway, okay. Part-time coaching was the main thing she talked about early, and then she moved into social media, Instagram stuff. Now, if you guys remember this from Super Saturday a little bit, so I would think some of you might remember this. She talked at that Super Saturday. She was one of the video people on Super Saturday for the last one, and she talked about the power of part-time. And so I think she signed up as to be a part-time coach while working a full-time job. And really, what we kind of reiterated at the event was the fact that that's the way the entire network started. It wasn't like, hey, there's all these full-timers running around, and then, it's like the new people came in. No, they were all, everybody was part-time. You couldn't earn a full-time income initially in this. There were very few, very quick, there were a couple rock stars right out the gate who kind of settled that pretty quickly, like Christine Dwyer and things like that. But very, very quick. So the growth of the network was based in this model of part-time, okay? And I think the problem comes when we elevate full-time to the only way to do the business. Does that make sense? And I think it's like, and if you don't get to full-time, and if you don't work it that way as a full-timer, then you're a failure. And so you might as well just pick up shop and go home. And I think as a guy who has been full-time and now is back to part-time, it's real easy to make that shift in my brain too, and to go, well, I guess I'm just, and let's be honest, because I'm not working full-time hours on this, the paychecks are not as much as they were when I was doing full-time in this, okay? They're still doing actually pretty decently well, which is actually pretty cool for me. Now, granted, this is the first of the year part of things as well. But I would say that it is sometimes like you're like, man, you get down on yourself. But it's like, you know what, Dan? I'm not doing this full-time now. And so you kind of have to set your expectations. And so, guys, talk to a friend about this, and this is a little side note. There are expectations and there are desires. Expectations always run into disappointment, because when you have a set of expectations and those expectations aren't met, then you have disappointment, even anger or extreme frustration, and then that's where people tend to either quit and give up, and I don't care what it is. That's where people give up on a marriage, they give up on a job, they give up on a whatever, when expectations aren't being met. I've got this set of expectations. This is what I expect. And this versus a set of potential desires, which is a little softer. It doesn't mean you don't want things. You don't want things, but it's not like, if this doesn't happen, like, if this, then this. Statements don't tend to happen where we're just like, well, I'm just going to, if this doesn't happen by this date, I'm out of here. That kind of a thing. Those tend to not work too well because people are involved and we flex. And we all know how fleeting our emotions can be, and like how one day we're like, this business sucks. I'm out of here. I'm done. Let's forget this. And then somebody goes, hey, I was wondering if you'd help me on this thing. And you're like, really? Oh, okay, great. Let's do this. And you're like happy now. Yay, I'm so happy. Because now, and then the next day somebody says no. And you're like, oh, you know. So if you let the wave of that, you know, your emotions, then you're going to be in trouble. So that, but it's still good to have desires, but when the expectations. So anyway, all of that to say, with this part-time thing, I think it's really critical for us to realize we probably shouldn't lead with a full-time card because none of us are doing it anyway, right? Okay, so let's just call it what it is for right now. It's a nice way to make some good part-time income. It might pay for something nice. And the cool part is that, and she's kind of hit this point, is that the more she kind of like sells the lifestyle of full-time, the more it drives regular people away. Because here's the truth. A lot of people kind of like their jobs. It's not everybody's completely dissatisfied with their job that they have, right? Some people kind of just like what they're doing. It's like, I like this. This is okay. And then it's like, and I like the stability of this. And Nancy, I'll bet you, I would bet $1,000 on this statement for you particularly, because I think you have some similarities, but I think everybody has a little bit of this. When the pressure, let's say if you had to do this full time, right? If you had to do this full time, the fun part of it would be like gone. It'd be like, now I gotta make this happen, right? It's those people, and I've been listening to, I forget which book I'm listening to. This one was, I think The Power of a Moment, I think is the name of it. But it was talking about a gal who like did the same thing. She like turned a part-time baking business into she just liked to bake. And everyone goes, hey, you should probably do this baking thing. It's great. You make your cookies. You're awesome. She's like, yeah, I guess I'm going to do this. So she opens a shop. She does all this stuff. And then it became like a thing she had to do instead of a thing she wanted to do, right? And when that shifted, man, her joy factor went out. And then ultimately her business closed in 2 years and she was out of baking. Oh, like she stopped baking for like a year because of it. You know what I mean? And I felt like, honestly, guys, when I hit that point with my fitness center, it was kind of the same story too. It's like I hit that burnout. Is like, man, this thing that started is like, oh yeah, you should do that. And I'm like, well, I guess I should. And then I end up, and then paying people and rent and insurance and all the bills and all that stuff just turned in. And now I have to instead of I get to. And then it just turned bad. So all of that to say, guys, I think it's okay to lead with this whole sense of part-time. Okay, enough story on that. Let's get back to her slides. She didn't connect with her upline story. Very different. Brigida's whole thing was totally different. Very different. She's like a mom and older, honestly. And this gal's like in her 20s, very young. But what she did is like, and I like this third bullet point, but when you lead with part-time coaching, it really lowers the barrier of entry for people because it ends up being like, oh, wow, this could be fun money. And if you could show Beachbody being fun money or a way to pay for a great product or a way to, like, and what I'm going to do, just so you know, I don't know if you guys saw this weekend, but we redid my office area. That's going to be completely paid for by Beachbody. It is. And that's where my like the carpeting, all the painting, and the red decorations, and it's also I'm going to tax deduct it as well, which is kind of an extra bonus because that's my main like work area for where I do my Beachbody business. So all that to say, I can tell that story, and instead of going, "Hey, here's this full-time income," I'm telling you about, "Oh, look what I paid for. Home renovations. That might be fun. Hey, maybe somebody wants to redo a kitchen. That could be fun." I mean, those kind of mini, smaller targets versus like this giant thing. So there's that lowering the barrier to entry and telling those stories of smaller wins versus, hey, I just quit my job, right? Because that's what I think a lot of people look like. Success in Beachbody equals, hey, I quit my full-time job. I brought my spouse home from work. I retired my spouse, which is an interesting thing. She actually told us about this because she's just about to get married to a guy. They're engaged. And they're moving out to California, actually from New York. But it's like she goes like, I want to retire my soon-to-be spouse. And the dude isn't, he's just completing law school. And I'm like, what? You don't like, he wants to go into law. Let him go into law, which is like, that's what he wants to do. Let him, anyway, it's kind of funny. And I think the truth, guys, having done the full-time thing, it can be a little lonely. I'm just being real, man. Isolated in a house all by myself, and I'm a people person. Not that I love my students all the time right now. I just being real with that. But it is nice to see some people every so often. And so I would say, like, making that out to be all glamorous. And I'm actually going to tell that story too. And I think that would be a great thing for people to be real with. It's like, yeah, it doesn't have to be full time. So anyway. And she talked about this whole idea, guys. I love this idea of connective tissue. Okay. And she taught anything. So she calls connective tissue anything that really effectively connects you with the people that you are looking to potentially attract into this. Okay. And I don't care if it's just the fitness side or if it's coaching as well. That's great. But anything that can help build that connective tissue is going to be a win in terms of or helping you earn trust and build those relationships. Okay. So here she talks about the whole idea of acknowledging the full-time misconception, which is what I just talked a little about. Explain publicly and privately how someone can benefit from a side business. There's that, everyone uses the words probably side hustle. Have you guys heard that word, that term? Like, you got a side hustle. Hey, what's your side hustle? You got something going on, that kind of deal. Teachers are infamous for this, guys. And I would say a segment of the population that is way under, I think, sought after for Beachbody sometimes is teachers. And they're all over. Nurses are also another one. Sometimes they're looking for maybe to pull back away from full-time, maybe to maybe just do part-time so they can have a family, which is, because nursing does not do very well for family, just being real when it comes to that. So that's something to potentially look at. Paint a picture of side income, tell other coaches' stories, any chance you can. So what I've done is I've connected with these diamond gals. And so I'm going to probably tell, and this is the cool part, guys, and this is why I love the fact that we're joining Sparta Nation. It opens the spectrum. We're not just telling these 6 people that we maybe told some of each other's stories in the past. Now we can go, hey, as part of Sparta Nation, I've got my friend blah, 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 and she, and her story is this. Oh, okay, and she was a stay-at-home mom. And one of the things that I love that whenever this gal talks about, and you'll watch this when she does talk about another coach, she'll mention like Starbucks barista, part-time coach, teacher, elementary teacher, part-time coach. So like the dual / thing. Does that make sense? So it's like IT worker, part-time coach. So it starts to normalize the fact of, oh yeah, people do have side hustles. And a lot of people do. A lot of people, I know people they waitress, they'll do, like, they'll, park cars at Notre Dame on game days. I know people do that. They'll do Uber, lots of different things to make a side hustle happen. But that / guys, as you're talking, super helpful. Okay. And I would and I thought about that as it related to my challengers too. How cool might that be? Just to go, this part-time, whatever, or the stay-at-home mom getting this done. Tell them what their job is, right? What they're doing, and then the progress that they're getting. And I think sometimes that can really help relate. So it's like, if a nurse, shoot, man, if a nurse is getting up and getting this done, knowing like the nurse's shifting schedule, that can be like, sometimes they're working night shifts, sometimes they're working day shifts. If a nurse can not make excuses and get it done, and I can shout that out, dude, if you've got a regular schedule and you're getting up and you're getting up at like 6:37, it's like, come on, you can do this, So anyway, the things that she loved to talk about, and this is where I'm still working on this whole Instagram video. I'm getting used to that whole format. It's a little clunky for me because I like to talk a little bit longer than the chunks, and it feels weird to, like, I'm still getting my timing down. Have any of you used Instagram story videos much yet, besides just shooting your workout? Okay, so Claire, talk to us.
Yeah, I've got the same. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. I've got the same issue, 15 seconds. And then I've seen Shailene Johnson do that with Snapchat. She does it very fluently. So I kind of knew that was what you need to do. Just
Yep.
continue your story. So it's coming along, but it takes practice. Definitely.
It really does. It's that interrupting the thought every 15 seconds to pause.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's not, I hate to say it, it's not a quick restart. You have to, you know what I mean? You can't just do them really fast. You have to go post it, and then you got to go back in, swipe, find the video one again, bang, start again, or turn the camera around, like 4 steps.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Yep.
So, and what she does with that, guys, is check this out. This is really something, and it's taking me a little bit. She says, talk directly to a person, not like, you don't say Francine or Joe or whoever, but it's like, hey, you, instead of like, hey guys, hey people. It's like you talk to a person more, and you say, hey, I am looking for you to join me for this next challenge that's coming up here. If you're going to do an invite one, I'm going to be an example. Or, hey, I love this recipe and I want to give it to you. If you're interested, just hit me up with a message, or there's the swipe up feature. Have you guys seen that? That's that connect thing. There's a swipe up feature on Instagram that potentially you can do, and then they can connect with you.
I think you have to have over 10,000 followers to
do you
have
really?
that feature. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I haven't seen that.
Unfortunately. Anyway.
Okay. Gotcha. Well, that doesn't work now, does it? Okay, hold on 2 seconds on that. So swipe up. Yeah, probably Instagram stories. Fantastic. How do I add a link to your story? Yes. Yep. You're right. Thank you. This was to verifying that, but you are absolutely correct, Ms. Claire. Good. So, that doesn't necessarily work, but you can always have them just message you. Or that's fantastic. Or if you wanted to even just do like, if you put a URL in a text thing on the deal, it'll actually fb.com/your name or something like that. You can do a Facebook connection, things like that.
I've said go to my bio
Too. Yep.
Click the link, and I have that link tree.
Yep.
In my bio, and and I'll just make whatever I want them to point to. I'll just tell them where to go.
Yep. So. And that's the thing, and that's the trick with Instagram, is the fact that you need to have is that you basically got one link within your bio that you can do, and that can change over time and things like that. So sometimes it's your website, if you have a website, or it can be your Facebook profile, or it can be a link to wherever you want to send them, that kind of a thing, right? So yeah. So Linktree, by the way, Claire, explain that real quick so everybody knows.
So Linktree is it's not tree, it's tr.ee, I think.
Yep.
And you can have different URLs. Like I have my challenge, my 21-day challenge. I just kind of piece them together as to what other coaches have. And you can have your website of, Beachbody in there. I have 2 links, one to the Clean Week regular Shakeology sampler, and then I have the vegan Shakeology sampler. I haven't had anyone click on that yet, but I'm just kind of, dabbling, seeing
Yeah.
what will
No.
take and what
And
will.
figuring out like what
You
is
can have as
actually
many as you want in that,
sure.
many links as you want. So
Sure.
yeah,
So
pretty cool.
certainly your Facebook profile you want in there. Certainly if you have a blog or your Beachbody account would probably be helpful as well. But yeah, that's good stuff. That's that
Yep,
link.
feel free to go to mine and check it out.
Yep, and it's free. Well, yeah, and honestly,
Yeah,
check out a lot of the
free.
top coaches who are doing this. I guarantee you. Yeah, she has it in hers, Kacia Fitzgerald. So go ahead and check that out. Okay, gonna move on here, guys. Don't want to interest of time. And she talked a little bit about training part-time coaches. And I thought this was really interesting. I love, guys, for any of you who have ever felt that the vital behaviors, you always feel like a failure. Always feel like a failure. Read this list. Because this is a new list. And she was just being honest. She goes, I don't do the vital behaviors every day. Because I just don't. She goes, it's not practical. It's not realistic. And I'm full-time, right? She said, I'm full-time. As a part-timer, it's even less realistic to be able to go, I'm going to have 20 invites every day, and I'm going to have 20 follow-ups every day. And so what ends up happening when you set, it's just like that John Acuff Finish book, right? It's like when you set that bar so freaking high and you're consistently missing the mark, what does that do to you internally? You just beat the snot out of yourself, and then you say, I guess I'm not good at this. I'm not cut out for it. So when you constantly are telling yourself that you're not a winner at whatever you're doing, or you're not meeting the mark, guys, your motivation is just going to deplete up. So take a look at this screen. I think it's like freaking brilliant. Okay? It's so just simple. 5 conversations a day. 5 conversations. That's relatively so easy compared to 20. Come on, think about it. 20 conversations. Can you really keep 20 conversations going for some of these coaches who've told us to do this? I'm like, there's no way. There's no way. You can't get any depth with anybody. You can never do that. 5 conversations is hard enough, okay? But if you can get 5 new conversations, it's just, hey, saw this, or, hey, I love, this is one she used really great. This is a great Instagram connector. If you ever want to do that, is like, especially is, hey, I love the filter you're using on your pictures. What do you use? Oh my gosh, your pictures are so amazing. Like, what are you using on this? Honestly, I've done that a couple times, and it's usually truthful because they're freaking great pictures, and the person's given me what they've done, and I've actually looked at getting using those. Visco, VSCO is a cool filter program. Anyway, but that's that. 3 invites a day versus 5 to 20 invites a day. Come on, a lot easier. And I love this, guys. Her point, 1 social media post a day. 1, good quality, instead of 5 crap quality, right? 1 post. And it could be however you want to do, whenever you want to post it, however you want to do it. I am following a little bit more of that rule, particularly as it relates to Instagram. Just a good quality post with a good picture. And I'm trying. I'm not again, Instagram's new to me, so I'm no expert whatsoever in this when it comes to that. But I'm trying. I like it. Actually, I've bridged over to the place where I'm like, I kind of enjoy this. It's new and it's kind of fun, and just trying to figure the whole thing out. And it's kind of just a different beast than Facebook. If you guys agree with that, it's just the feel is just so different in how things roll. And honestly, I was thinking about this because I had been doing the auto post from Instagram into Facebook, okay, where it just automatically will post for you. I don't recommend it. I hate to say it. Take the extra 1 minute and copy and paste and reformat it into Facebook look. because what I did, I don't know about you guys, I've done that, and I did some hashtags. It just looks weird in Facebook world to see like those 5 dots that everybody does in Instagram world. There's 5 those bullet point dots, and then you have your whole list of hashtags below it. When you see that in Facebook world, it just looks weird. You know what I mean? It just doesn't look. I've heard people post they want you to post native, and that's like speaking Dutch in England. You know what I mean? It's weird. You know, it's like it just looks weird. And so
they actually they don't recommend that you do that anymore, just because it does get sloppy.
Yeah.
And then they say there's something with the algorithm as well. I can't remember what it is. I'll look into it. But there's something there that not everything really transfers like it should. So it's not really authentic on both ends.
Well, and on top of that, it at least in what I could, and I did it wrong, but it sets it automatically to friends only.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And then also with like your hashtags, a lot of people put them in their post. You actually want to put them in the first comment, so it doesn't, you know, because that kind of takes away from your post. So if you put it in the first comment, it still does all your tags, but it just keeps your post nice and clear.
Yeah.
Yep. Very clean.
And that's for Instagram.
That's for Instagram, yes.
Gotcha.
And you can, of course, like do like, you know, hashtag, you know, obsessed or whatever, but still in the comments below, then you can just rattle off, you know, as many as it'll let you.
So you do your couple that are like specifically, if you want to have like, that makes your point, like, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And then when, like if somebody else sees that, immediately they see that first hashtag. Like if I go to 80 Day Obsession, you'll see a picture and it'll say hashtag 80 Day Obsession. So, you know, if you pick a specific one, it will show up on your picture when you're scrolling through.
Yep.
So, yep. But anyways, I thought I'd throw that in there.
Oh, that's great. Thank you. Yeah. I noticed Claire does that a lot too. She says the first comment that, so you guys did the training, so you know what's going on with this a lot more than I do. And then, so social media posts, 15 minutes personal development on Audible. And her whole point about Audible, guys, and this is where I love it, is the fact, so if you spend $15 a month on an Audible book, I've had an Audible membership now for the last year, and you don't have to spend necessarily $15 a month, because you can honestly.
I do it every 2 months.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I do it 2 months.
Every 2 months. Yeah.
$16.
Yeah. Or the other option with that is you can actually get books from the library too. That you can download. There's an app called it's basically like the audio app that you can kind of borrow from the library.
I think it's from Hoopla.
Okay.
Hoopla? Yeah, that's what I use.
Nice. So that's really helpful, so you don't have to necessarily buy all the books and have all that. So, but the reason why she says this is that it starts to, you can listen to it in transit or showering or shaving or hair doing, all those things, and it allows you to then do that and not make the excuse, because then a lot of people who won't do 15 minutes worth of that personal development because I just can't read or I can't do it, and it's just like, no, make that a priority, and if you do the listening portion of it, you're going to be a lot more apt to do it. So you want to lower the barrier for the things you want to do, right? And that's the thing. And if it's like, I've got to sit down and read. Well, here's the truth. A lot of us, when you're doing friggin' 80-day obsession at 4 a.m., and it's like, well, what am I going to read? But, a ton before. I might actually do a little bit of reading before while I'm kind of waiting for my food to digest. But that's kind of the time I've been doing some things. But like, honestly, I've been using my commute a lot on that too as well. Shakeology, check in on weekly on Google Drive Tracker. Oh, so she does, and that is her weekly. So basically, that's where she's doing her tracking of her people. So as she's got kind of a spreadsheet that she uses, spreadsheet format for tracking her people within Google Drive. 5 workouts a week. The big thing that I noticed, guys, that I think this is where I have to make the personal confession, and I told Jen this a little bit earlier, was At the soulish level, because of my new job, and whenever you start something new, it's really hard, relatively, because you're getting systems set up, your brain's thinking on so much harder levels. But when you've been doing something for a while, you can do a little bit, and I'm just going to speak, Claire would be a good example in this. She's been doing administrative assistant thing for a while here. She knows how to roll that thing. She can make that work. And back when I was doing music pastoring, I could do that. I could do the same thing, because I could get done a 40-hour work week in probably about 30-ish. I really could, because I was that efficient at that point. Not to say I was robbing from that, but I really could. But what I would tell you, so for me, at the soulish level, I think I've been reading a book called Soul Keeping by John Ortberg right now, I love it. It's like I have been exhausted, and it's from that level. It's not just mental, it's not just physical, it's not all those things, but at the soulish level, I feel like I've not had a lot to output because I've not been getting enough rest to not just sleep rest, but rest to input and to live again and to have joy in what I'm doing. That's where I think that, so this is what she talks about, like these hour unplugs each day, is finding the space for that. And she said, I don't care if you're full-time or part-time, if you don't have a time to just be and do something you enjoy, like on a everyday basis somehow, even if maybe it's not a full hour, but even a half hour, your joy factor is just going to go, and you're going to deplete, and you won't be useful. You won't be useful anymore, and then you'll be burnt out and you'll be quit. So taking that to heart, and I thought that was a big deal. Any questions, guys, about this? And then we'll head into some Facebook, Instagram-y stuff more. Okay. And on the left side there, she with her expectations, when she hits the beginning with a new coach, what she tries to do initially, instead of going, excuse me, yawning, no kidding, man, a little obsessed. But the GSR, instead of, hey, what do you want with this business? And he's like, well, do you want to be a full-time person? Do you want to be part-time? She's like, okay, great, we can talk that. But she goes, what do you want with this first month? This first 30 days, what do you want to do? How great would it feel to be Emerald in the first 30 days? Well, what's Emerald? Oh, well, let me tell you. It's this. Instead of, oh my gosh, there's this huge goal of whatever, and it kept speaking to me. I'm like, you and John Acuff need to hang out, because she was just talking Acuff language. It's like you set your goals too big, and then you don't achieve them, and you feel like a failure. So I thought that was really good. All right, moving on. Let's talk social media. Check this out, guys. This was like one of those where we all went, like, mind explode deal. She doesn't post about anything else besides these three things. This is it. That's all she does. What's your business story? And it's either this is how life was, this is how life is now, or when I first got started, this is what I was afraid of, but this is what I pushed through, this is what I learned. You see, all this stuff. So the business story can be, and like, especially as you are going into this, it's like, this is what I want it to be. This is what I'm working towards. I'm working towards this, right? I can say, I'm working towards helping pay for my kids' college. See, look at IU, woo! I'm looking to pay for this sweatshirt, right? That's part of the reason why I coach. And I don't think that it's bad to say that. Because honestly, if you think about it, guys, that could sound really greedy, potentially, but it also could say, hey, I'm looking to help provide my kids with no debt as they go into college. Is that greedy? I don't think so. I mean, I think everybody knows they want to provide for their kids, right? So I think when I come from that angle, and there are other people who go, I'd love to do that too, man. That'd be great. I'd love to provide that for my kid too. Um, or whatever, I'd like to have a vacation, oh, hey, like I said, even with my, the room that I redid, it's like, oh, hey, we just did a big room renovation. We're at my beach body. That's really cool. How awesome is that? And people would want to do that. What's your fitness story? Same thing. Befores and afters are great for that, of course. And if you can really focus in on some specifics about your story or about maybe even other people's stories around you, that's really great. And honestly, for some of us, it's stuff where if you just tell the now stories, like 22 days ago, I was, zero point 0.8 body fat, and now today I'm 0.7 body fat. That doesn't help. That's like saying if you're in the business side, in her world, last week I pulled, or not last week, but this, I just hit the $750,000 mark, and next year, in end of this year, I'll hit the full $1 million mark. It's like, is that relatable? No. So make it relatable. So if you say like, if you're farther on in your journey, you've got to tell that before picture more, or about more than just the physical side. You got to talk about all the other benefits that happen. Okay, when it comes to fitness, that's what she talked big time about. Talk about your hair. Talk about your nails. Talk about your hunger, whatever, energy, anything. And then, this was a big one too. Me too topics. And this was a big challenge for me. Are you guys ready? Because I don't know about you. Sometimes life gets about Beachbody, my other job, and my family. That's it. That's life. Tends to be. And it was a real challenge to go, okay, if I didn't have those three necessarily, or like could de-accentuate some of that, what would I really want to do? And not to say that, I love to work out. I really do. That's one of my favorite things. I would call it a hobby of mine. I like that. It's a great hobby. But in order to relate to a few others, I like craft beer. I like we like some really good TV series right now. There's some TV series we watch a bit. Just got done watching what was it? Oh, Stranger Things was a big thing we just got done. That's a great series. That's a connector. And I put up hey, looking for a new series. What do you guys recommend? Brrr, all these people, oh, me too. Oh, I'm a dog owner. Oh, me too. Looking for those kind of topics that you can potentially connect people with, which I thought was a real brilliant. So check out her timeline. See how well she does that. I mean, of course, she's going to probably veer on occasion from those things, but she really tries to keep it simple within those three frameworks, and then it's in pretty good shape. And then the point being, and this is where I thought about it too, the more we can enter or keep it heading towards something. So if you're just constantly just sort of mixing in business meets fitness, meets whatever life, and there's no like inviting towards a challenge or inviting maybe towards whether it's a sneak peek, and we haven't done a sneak peek in a while, but thinking about that is like, or at least trying to really, I'm looking to start some new coaches, if you don't have kind of an end game in that, you're just kind of all over the board. And I think if you can invite people to a process versus just random, I think it can really help. Okay. This was big. Get ready. Ask yourself these questions as it relates to your post content to build relationships. Does it engage others? Would you follow you? Which is a big challenge sometimes. And I think if and for me, I guess trying to think about what I guess I would ask you guys, if you're following somebody right now, and let's say it's Chalene Johnson for that matter, what are you looking for from Chalene? what are you looking for? Let's hear from you guys. Like, what are you looking for? Like, I'm really asking you now. Let's just rattle off a few things. What are you looking for from Shailene? Claire, what are you looking for when you watch Shailene? Claire, can you hear me? Claire? I guess not. She was doing something else. Jen, how about you?
When I look for Shailene, I'm usually looking for something that's going to actually add value to my day, you know, or even to what I'm currently doing. I'm looking for something that's speaking directly to me.
Yep.
So Shailene, honestly, I love her. She's one of my favorites, but she has so much content.
Yes.
She's honestly kind of hard to follow.
Yes.
Because when you're looking for certain things, it's like all over the damn place, and that's just honest.
Jay, were you calling the cops, man? What the heck?
TJ, you in trouble out there?
Yes.
I guess so.
That's awesome. But yeah, so when I'm looking for her, I'm just looking for something quality, something that's going to grab my attention and actually make me stop my scroll. Now, for myself, I have a hard time figuring out what that is for me. The only thing I can figure out is, like, when it comes to like this world, is just like fitness pictures. People like to see a transformation, but I don't want to just do that. You know, I'm trying to figure out something else to grab people's attention, and I'm kind of just at a lack right there because I'm not sure what that is.
Okay.
So I do go looking at Shailene's, but like I said, it's too much, and you can't copycat it because that's not you, you know?
Correct. Yep. You can take transferable principles, though, so don't feel like you're, you know.
Oh, right, yeah, and I do. It's just, I'm still kind of searching. You know, like you said, you're kind of soul searching, kind of still soul searching to see what people want from me.
Yep.
Yep. But really, yeah, so I would say anything that makes me stop the scroll or gives quality to, you know, to me, something that can help me.
Yeah. And I think so just value.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So value is where.
I mean, honestly, it's as simple as you post in those parchment cups, you know, I'm going to do something similar. That's value because seriously, it's a freaking time saver, and you get you know, more food. It sounds silly. It sounds so ridiculous, but I'm telling you, that's awesome, you know?
Well, and honestly, like, so this was me our day. It's like, or just last night, like we made our apple cinnamon oatmeal, and I've given that recipe away about a billion times, right?
Yes. People love recipes.
But they still love it, man. And I just had a good picture of it, and then it was like, I just ended up sharing that. So.
And I did the same thing with my zucchini muffins, and I had people making it that afternoon. I mean, it's just something simple that they can do real quick. They like that.
Yep.
But anyways, that's my takeaway from Shailene.
Sure. No, I think that's good. And I think, you know, this is and so is there a point to posting it? What reaction would you want to have your niche coach challenger to have? And what she talked about, guys, and you remember me way back in the day creating a kind of an avatar of a person named Amy. You remember I said, like, Amy, and this is what Amy likes, and blah, 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 blah. And I think that has value. And I also think, and she talked about literally, but she flipped it, because it wasn't just like, who should I reach for, but who do you really want to reach for? Like, who do you really want to attract into this thing? And I was really kind of, I'm still impressed. Sorry, again, yawning. But I still had in the process of that, I was really trying to think about who I really do want in this business with me, not just as a coach necessarily, but as a challenger. And it started to really think about, like, specific people. It's like, well, that person, I really want to work with that type of person, or I really like the way that she asks these questions, or this is the way that, like, I don't have to, like, come to her, she comes to me, you know, that kind of stuff, where I'm not having to, like, seek somebody out. I can check in, that's fine, but it's a little bit more self-motivating versus, like, hey, did you do your vital behaviors today? It's like, you know, I don't have to check in with that level. She also talked about jargon, watching, like, you don't want to sound like, so she's one of those gals, she uses the word babe, It's like, hey babe, how you doing? Blah blah blah. So like use that word. But other people are like, nope, that doesn't work. You know, for me, I use sis all the time. You know that. I call people sis because I really want to establish that sisterly relationship to take them off guard. And so I'm not like, hey, I'm trying to be a creeper weirdo. It's like, hey sis, how you doing? Blah blah blah. That kind of a thing. All right. Instagram. This is her deal. If you like literally look at her Insta, it is every other picture is a quote. She loves quotes from the beginning. I'm actually going to adopt a little bit of that too. I'm going to try it. But she's got curiosity marking. There's a consistent pattern, consistent filter on her pictures. She kills me because her lighting is so good. My lighting sucks. My house is dark. Yeah, that's you too. But I wish I had taller ceilings to be able to give some more light, but it just is what it is. Purposeful content. She talks about my business story. Okay, the topic. And she has niche girl jargon, which I think if she's going for that certain niche, she's going to talk about, you know, everything like, you know, she'll use certain like cuss words, but not the full cuss word. You know, she might bleep out the part of it, but use it, you know, that kind of stuff. So attracting her niche. All right. Instagram, searching Instagram real fast, but we gotta close this out. Followers of other big non-Beachbody accounts that she loves. So Joanna Gaines was one. She's like like the fixer uppers. Big time for people. I think that's a great follower. That's a dead center of the kind of person we probably want in our businesses. Unique hashtags versus generic hashtags. 80 days. She said no on 80 day obsessed. She said that's silly. It's just not going to get anybody you want. It's just going to get all the Beachbody coaches. And you don't need that. Posting content that will generate followers from engagement. So of course you want to be able to really engage your content. This is the tracking. She's got it's really simple actually, because anybody could set this up in a Google Doc, but it's effectively, she has the Instagram handle, their name, the date, and then an action. So it's pretty easy. And then she can invite them to that. She's very unapologetic when it comes to the inviting side of things. She's like, this opportunity has changed my life. Why would I be shy about it? And honestly, who do I really care about that much in my very cold market relatively? Who do I really care about to that a matter? To go, oh my gosh, this person's never going to message me again. It's like, I don't even know you relatively. So who do I care? What do I care? You know what I mean? I thought that was really an honest thing. So when you're all worried about, oh my gosh, if I start inviting people at that level to even consider the coaching opportunity or whatever, it's like, really? So what are you really afraid of? Or what voice? There's probably 3 voices in the world that you're really afraid of, and it's probably not the people you're messaging. She uses polls, and it can show who's most engaged. Me Too topics that are not just Beachbody. And the easiest way to do it. Oh, that's really fun. So hey, who's interested in doing it? Is it anyone like yes or totally in, or hey, I need more information. Like that's the poll versus yes or no. And then you can see the IG stories. Consistency builds credibility and trust. So you got to stay consistent, even though sometimes I don't want to do it again. Like I don't want to post this again. I'm like, oh, by the way, the whole unicorn thing, unicorn juice. If everybody and their freaking uncle posts that it's unicorn juice, it's silly. And if it doesn't really fit your vibe, like I'm not gonna post unicorn juice. I do morning magic. I use it. That's what I use. I just call it my morning magic. About to drink my morning magic. So And I think that creates some interest. Julie Boris goes, I just posed, I'm going to drink my Energize. How crazy is that? Like, it's just Energize. It is what it is. It's not, you have to call it, it's like, Energize, buy Beachbody. Buy now here for, 3 low payments of. Anyway. Easy way to add value, sneak peek into the day in the life, which I thought was really cool. And that's that. Last thing, how she invites on Instagram. Okay, this is important. I'm going to read these just in case you can't see them. So this is from a Hey Girl message. Okay, so she had already connected with this person on something else. Hey babe, which is what she uses. So I know this is totally random since we don't technically know each other, but you seem like a somehow I'd be friends with in real life. So I thought I should extend the invite. I run these online Girl Tribe Fitness accountability groups where we check in with our workouts and kick ass together in a private Facebook group. Cheer each other on and just have a tight-knit virtual community with babes all across the country. Does that sound like something you'd up your alley at all? Very low entry. Or yes or no? Good deal. Response to a poll. Hey, so are you interested in one of the spots in my next accountability group? Yay, fill me in. Can you tell me a little bit more? And that's where she starts the questioning process. Okay? So that's why polls, I think, are pretty cool for that. It's elicited some response. Last thing. Remember, successful people are not gifted. They just work hard and eager to learn and succeed on purpose. But the big thing that she said at the very end, and this is where I'm, which is so funny because I was literally typing this before she said it, but it's not just what you do, it's who you're becoming that makes the difference in our business. And if you are becoming a person more of growth as you're growing your business and growing yourself, and just, I guess I was watching Jamie Fitzpatrick. This is the last thing I'll say. Jamie Fitzpatrick, as a coach, dude, the guy is so freaking interesting. He's just interesting because he's interested in things. He's a curious mind, and it's not just about how will I build my business. He's got things that he's interested in that he just shares about that are interesting. So sometimes it's not just about building a great business, it's about building a great life, guys. And I think that that's the big thing. If we can build a great life, the business will flow from a great life, right? Versus, hey, I'm going to live later. It's like, no, live. And then share that with the world. So hope that was helpful. I know it was a lot of me jabbering, which is typical because I like to jab. But any last thoughts, guys, before we head out?
I thought it was great, Dan. Thanks for sharing that.
Cool. Yeah, I think she's
Super helpful.
She's got a lot of stuff, and just me going over it again like this has been helpful for me again too. But that inviting slide I thought was huge too. So anything?
Yeah, I screenshotted that if anybody wants it.
Say what?
I screenshotted her invite.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, if anybody wants it.
I can actually post this in the club. I'll post it in our Go Team club.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I would definitely like this.
Cool. All right, people. Well, thanks so much. I'm going to head to bed because
get some rest.
5 o'clock's coming. All right. It's nice. I'll tell you what, though, doing the first workout with Booty, the 60-minute, and then the next day followed up by like a 36 is like, woohoo!
It is. I love that.
Like, I got a break. I can like post 10 things between the remaining 25 minutes of this hour. Which is like awesome. All right, people. Love you lots. We'll talk to you soon, okay?
See you later.
Bye-bye.
Good night, everyone.
Yeah.